Guys, Thomas Partey has received a contract offer from a Saudi Arabian club. Meanwhile, he's waiting for Arsenal to also give him a contract extension. If you were Thomas Partey, what would you do? Would you go to Saudi Arabia or you wait for that contract extension with Arsenal? Let me know your answer down below in the comments. My name is Adam. You're watching SportsCornerGH. No long intro. Quickly, let's jump into it. Let's talk about Thomas Partey. Now, Thomas Partey did not play in Arsenal's last game in the EPL against Ipswich Town, and then mikel Arteta was asked, why didn't Thomas Partey play in that game? Now, this is what he said in response to that. He says that, well, the reason for Thomas Partey missing the Ipswich Town game was because Thomas Partey was not available to start the game. At the end, we decided not to even play him because he wasn't feeling particularly well. Now, that is the reason from mikel Arteta, saying that Thomas Partey was not feeling well. I feel like it's a blessing in disguise for us now because they got the opportunity to experiment playing without Thomas Partey. We all know Thomas Partey's situation against the game Arsenal are going to play against PSG in the semi-finals of the UCL. Thomas Partey is not going to play in the first leg. So they have to try and experiment without Thomas Partey, and that is what mikel Arteta said. Now, today, Arsenal are going to play against Crystal Palace, and it's good news for Thomas Partey because Thomas Partey has been cleared fit and available for selection, which is very good. But then that game is very important because if Arsenal loses to Crystal Palace, Liverpool would be declared winners of the EPL. But then if Arsenal wins, Liverpool would have to wait for another day. So guys, that is the update that has to do with Thomas Partey and his availability for Arsenal's game against Crystal Palace tonight. So now let's move away from that and talk about Thomas Partey's contract extension. Now, mikel Arteta some few days ago states that they have made their intention very clear concerning Thomas Partey's contract extension, but then he's going to leave that with Andre Beta to decide with Thomas Partey's camp. Now, this is coming from Charles Watts, stating that Thomas Partey wants to stay at Arsenal because of his family. Now, I want to read exactly what the article says. Now, the article says that as of yet, however, formal talks between Arsenal and Thomas Partey have not begun, although there is a growing feeling from the players' camp that the club would be willing to discuss a new deal in the coming weeks. Now, the Ghanaian international is understood to be happy and settled in London with his family. Thomas Partey has a fiancée and a newborn baby. They don't want to be moving around a lot, so Thomas Partey has hold of other proposals just to wait for Arsenal to give him a favorable term to stay in London still. He's just waiting for that contract extension. And this is coming from Charles Watts, stating that talks have not begun yet, even though mikel Arteta says that Arsenal have made their intention clear concerning Thomas Partey, who turns 32 years of age in June. So guys, this is the update concerning Thomas Partey's contract extension. But then let's talk about what is happening with Thomas Partey and the Saudi Arabian clubs. What we hear is that Thomas Partey has been offered a 3-year deal with a Saudi Arabian club, which has not been named yet, but I have a feeling it's either Al Ittihad or Al Nassr. Now, this 3-year contract comes with a very lucrative offer, more than what he receives at Arsenal. The question is Thomas Partey going to accept that? Because he's turning 32. And this is really good for him to secure his financial future. That is why I asked you at the beginning, if you were Thomas Partey, what would you do? Would you stay at Arsenal or go to Saudi Arabia where they are giving you 3 years with a lucrative deal or lucrative offer? Let me know your answers down below in the comments because this is wild. Now, let's talk about Owen Hargreaves. Now, Owen Hargreaves on Rio Ferdinand's YouTube channel said something concerning Thomas Partey. Now, this is what he said. He says that if Thomas Partey was to leave Arsenal, then he would have advised mikel Arteta to go in for a player who plays for Crystal Palace. And the name of the player is called Adam Wharton. Now, that player is being valued 70 million euros by Crystal Palace. He believes that the player would be a direct replacement for Thomas Partey in Arsenal. That is only if Thomas Partey would be leaving. But guys, let me know what you think because Arsenal are looking in a different direction. They want Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. But then this is coming from Owen Hargreaves saying that if Thomas Partey were to leave Arsenal today, he would advise Mikel Arteta should go in for Adam Wharton of Crystal Palace. But then, guys, this is the update that has to do with Thomas Tidy Partey. He's available for selection today in Arsenal's game against Crystal Palace. After the game, we'll come back here and talk about his performance. So please make sure to like, subscribe, and also turn on notification. Now, let's move away from that and talk about Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid have decided on the goalkeeper they are going to use in the Copa del Rey final. And I told you yesterday in my previous video that that is a dilemma for Carlo Ancelotti. Now, they have decided on Thibaut Courtois instead of Lunin. And I know a lot of fans are not happy about this, but then they don't want to risk it. They want to make sure that they win, and they want to go with their first choice goalkeeper. So Thibaut Courtois is going to be the goalkeeper for Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey finals. Now, in other news for Real Madrid, Vinicius Jr. would be getting a contract extension. And what I hear is that it's going to be 5 years. But then we are yet to get the clarification of the 5 years. Is it going to be 4 years with an option of a further 1 year, or a straight 5 years? That is what we are waiting for when it comes to clarification. But what we know is that Vinicius Jr. is expected to get a new offer, a new contract from Real Madrid. And I'm happy for the player. See, Vinicius Jr. is a very, very good player for Real Madrid. If you see the things he does for Real Madrid, he's a very big game player for Real Madrid. He has a documentary coming up on Netflix, and a lot of things were said. A lot of things were exposed. So guys, that documentary, you guys need to watch it on Netflix. It's going to come out very, very soon. But then, guys, let's move away from that and talk about Real Madrid versus Getafe today. Now, according to reports, Endrick is likely to start that game. If he doesn't start, likely he's going to play in that game. And not be surprised if you see some squad rotation in the game. Not heavily, but then some players might not be playing in that game just to rest them ahead of the game. They are going to play against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey finals. And also today, Mbappe is not going to play. Mbappe is not going to play against Getafe at all. So, guys, that is the update coming from the camp of Real Madrid. Now, let's switch on to their rivals. Let's talk about Barcelona a bit. Barcelona yesterday played against Real Mallorca, where they won by 1-0. I watched that game, and Mallorca played one of the defensive games I've ever seen in my life. The way Daniel almost scored and goal, I just did not know. He tried his best. It was a tight space, and he made sure he scored that goal, which was quite surprising in my own opinion. But then Dani Olmo did his best and did very, very well to score that goal. But at the end of the day, Pedri was awarded the MVP, the man of the match. And I want to talk about Pedri. If you take a look at his last 10 or last 15 games for Barcelona, it has been wild. This is Barcelona's best player of the season. Don't get me wrong. Rafinha is playing very well. Lewandowski will get you the goals. But this player is the engine of Barcelona. If Barcelona are going to win the Copa del Rey, they need this player. They need Pedri. I'm not going to lie to you. Pedri has been very influential for Barcelona this season. Look at the statistics. Look at the ratings. It should tell you how important this player has been all season for Barcelona. So Pedri, he's a very good player. But then Ansu Fati played against Real Mallorca, and I'm very excited to see the player play because he's one player that was tipped to be the next big thing. But then injuries really hampered him. He went on loan at Brighton and Hove Albion. It did not work. He came back to the club, and I'm happy that he was given the opportunity. Yesterday, he did not play bad at all. You could see all he needs is regular playing time and also to get his confidence back. He's going to be a very good player for Barcelona. I don't know if his situation with Barcelona is going to change, but currently, I don't know. But then I just wish him nothing but the best. I love Ansu Fati. I'm not going to lie to you. I love him. I was happy that he played the game for Barcelona yesterday. So guys, that is the update that has to do with Barcelona. Now, let's move away from Barcelona and talk about what, former Black Star Ghana international John Mensah had to say about Mohammed Salisu. Now, Mohammed Salisu is attracting interest. He's attracting interest from a lot of clubs in Spain, in England. And the former international says that if the player can go back to England, it will give his career a boost. Now, let's take a look at what the former international said to African Foot. Now, this is what he said. He says that Mohammed Salisu has the qualities to thrive anywhere. He already knows the intensity and demands of the Premier League. A return to what I consider the best league in the world would be beneficial to his career. But while he has other options in Spain, Italy, and Germany, he also has the profile to shine there. And this is what he said. He did not lie. And I won't be surprised if at the end of the season, Salisu moves away from Monaco to any club in Spain, Italy, or Germany, because he has been very pivotal for Monaco this season. So guys, this is coming from John Mensah speaking to Africa Foot. Now let's move away from that and talk about Sancho and his situation at Chelsea. Now, Sancho is on loan from Manchester United and playing at Chelsea. Now, his loan comes with an obligation to buy. And according to Fabrizio Romano, Sancho has met that condition. Now, let me read that very, very quickly. This is what Fabrizio Romano posted. He says that Chelsea's obligation to buy Jadon Sancho for Manchester United for 25 million euros have been triggered, but that does not guarantee a move to the Stamford Bridge. And this is coming from The Athletic. Now, I know Manchester United fans, including myself, do not want to see Sancho back because of what he did. Now, the player has made it very clear he doesn't want to come back to Manchester United at all. He went back to Dortmund. He did very well. They went to the ECL finals. He came back to United for a short period, then went to Chelsea. At Chelsea, he began very, very well. But then things are becoming very slow for the player. But then he has met the condition to trigger the obligation for 25 million euros to sign permanently for Chelsea. And at this moment, Chelsea would have to, weigh their options, whether to take Sancho on and his wages or not. But then at the end of the day, it is an agreement Chelsea would have to broker with Manchester United. But then Sancho is a very good player. It's just that things did not work out for him in the EPL and also with Manchester United. But at Chelsea, at least we had a glimpse of what he could be. But I would advise the player to go to Germany or go to Spain and try his luck there. EPL might not be for him. That is based on my own opinion. But then, guys, this is the update I have for you on today's video. Let me know what you think about it down below in the comments. If you were Thomas Partey, what would you do? Saudi Arabia or Arsenal? I'll make sure to see you in the next one. My name is Tedem. Utale Rugovide.